So, March 14th, 2025, Darci's Corner. This is kind of a Darci's reflection. So, when I was growing up as a teenager, I had a good friend of mine who was Native. And when I was a little kid, we had my grandmother had a day home, and there were two girls there that were Natives. They were a year or two younger than me, but one of them was my sister's best friend at the time, and the other one was even younger than that. But anyway, we treated them like cousins. Like that was the type of person that they were to us. I gotta get a better camera holder. Anyway, and then I grew up and lived life, and I worked in a really ghetto part of town, working at a convenience store. And I've seen a lot of First Nations people come through there, and a lot of them, frankly, were thieves. But that wasn't their fault. They were just low-income people living in a low-income world, and so sometimes that means you steal, or you sell drugs, or you engage in prostitution. To be fair, people of every skin color in that neighborhood did those things. But predominantly, because we would tell each other, watch out for this person or that person, and almost every time was watch out for that Native kid. The one in the one in the red hat, one carrying the blue backpack, whatever. But I've also worked a lot of jobs where I've had Native coworkers who would work you into the ground, and they always showed up for work. And the one guy was telling me he didn't understand how some people could just not show up for work and think they'd still have a job. And he was the hardest worker I ever worked with in my life. Native fella. So I don't discriminate that way. And when my roommate became my roommate, he had his last name was Whitefish. And so First Nations, whatever. And I knew he had some mental health problems that he could not control. And so sometimes weird things would happen in the apartment, like my dog would get let out and I'd find dishes and silverware in odd places in the kitchen and things like that. But he had his people who would check on him on a regular basis, and sometimes he would give me attitude because of the mental health problems he had were affecting him. And so I gave him a lot of leeway with that. Even though sometimes, frankly, he was a jerk. But, whatever. Then you fast forward to when we move here. But even before that, I noticed he was bringing people into the apartment at weird hours of the night, because I had my nanny cam set up, watching people come in the door, and I got pictures of them. And my keys were hanging right by the door, and I remember thinking, man, those keys are worth a lot of money, but they've been okay so far and haven't had any problems. And then when we moved here, and I was hanging the keys by the door, I remember thinking, maybe I shouldn't be hanging them here. But, he doesn't steal. He does weird things, and sometimes stupid things, and he does paranoid things in his room with locks and stuff on the door, but he's not hurting anything. And his friends that he has over, he kind of needs that to keep himself stable, because he's got, paranoia and delusions and stuff, so he needs his people around him. But I remember thinking, man, maybe I shouldn't leave my keys there, because something happens to him, my life's going to get real tough. Plus, if they steal my keys, they could steal my vehicle. But they're not going to steal from him, because they're his people. They're the people around him that keep him safe. And they would know that if they did steal from me, I would blame him and he would lose his home. Which is exactly what happened. I never understand why people will hurt their own and don't even care. They cost him his home. And you could say, well, I was stupid because I should have known that they looked sketchy, they acted sketchy. And you could even play the race card and go, you know why that stereotype exists of Native people? They're the reason. They drink, they gamble, they use drugs, they steal, they lose their kids because they can't be around their kids because they can't be trusted with them. Because they're just shitty people. And those particular people are shitty. It just happened to be Native. I don't hold that against Native people. But those particular ones are very shitty people. They tried to ruin my life by stealing my vehicle. And like, if I were to go and get the locks changed because of them, which is what I should do, my landlord could say, you're more trouble than you're worth. Get your shit and get out. Then I'm homeless with nowhere to go and no way to get there. This is... I do not understand why people will bite the hand that feeds them and hurt themselves and hurt others when they don't need to. If they had taken a can of pop or a bag of chips or whatever, some little knickknack around here that I don't even care about really, I would have been annoyed, but I would have got over it and moved on, and we would have made some different arrangements and changed some things, but they tried to destroy my life. And for no reason. They didn't sell the truck. They didn't use it to move anything. They just abandoned it on the side of the road at a town, half hour out of this town. And they just disrupted my life and made it very hard. For no reason at all. And they're taking zero responsibility because, it's all my fault that they're shitty people. There's a part 2 to this. I've learned some lessons. Peace.